Tuesday, the 12th of May 2020, a second short devotional instead of a midweek podcast. I draw your attention back to Exodus 17, verses 1 to 7. And yesterday we spoke about make the right life choice, thanksgiving rather than murmuring and complaining. The second thing I want to encourage this today is have a thirst for the real water. Have a thirst for the real water. We saw in Exodus 17 that the people were thirsty, and one of the strongest physiological drives that we have is for thirst. But you know, there is a greater need even than physical water, and that's for the water of life, for the Lord himself, and the spiritual water that only he can give. And we're thinking about what changes will we make in our lives and in our church life or in our nation at this time. And I think that one of the clear things that many people have realized is that some of the things that satisfied us, some of the things we were hungry for and thirsty for, we found that they carry no life. They do not provide the satisfaction and the fulfillment that we need. And perhaps during this time of lockdown and restriction, perhaps it's a little bit like being in a wilderness, you might even say. And it's interesting that it was during the wilderness travelling that the people of Israel learnt so many spiritual lessons, and the same is true of us. In fact, the New Testament says that these things in Exodus and the Numbers in particular were written as examples for us, and even stronger than that, they were written as warnings. And so let your thirst and your inner longing be for good things. I don't know about you, but I know myself that it's almost being a forced fast from some things. I haven't been able to pursue some of the interests and the hobbies that, to be honest, at times become out of balance, beyond measure, and we look for fulfillment, we look for satisfaction in something other than the Lord. Of course, ultimately there is a name when we put something on a par with God, or we make it as great or equal to God or even greater than God. And the Bible calls that idols. And hopefully none of us are so silly or so stupid to bow down before a stone or a rock or an idol. But the truth is, many of us have been overly stimulated, overly attracted to lesser things. And during this season, during this restriction, during this enforced fast, we're learning to hunger and thirst for righteousness, for the living God, and that there is a satisfaction that only God can give. There is a fulfillment that only God can give. There is a secret supply that only God can give. So and I want to say this, let every awareness of need in your life, every awareness of weakness, every awareness of concern, let it be a trigger to move you quickly towards seeking the Lord, asking of the Lord, crying out to God, just like Moses under extreme pressure from the people, cried out to God. And the scripture says that all those who call or cry out on the Lord, he will deliver them, he will hear them. He's rich and generous to all who call on him. I think one of the things that may well translate into permanent change in how we live is the realization that sometimes there's nothing to do but pray. There's nothing we can do for somebody but pray for them. We can't even visit them face to face. We can phone them, we can text them, we can message them, we can Skype them. But what we're realizing, one of the greatest things we can do for others and for ourselves is to pray. That prayer is something very, very powerful. So let's grow during this time. And let some of our desires for lesser things than God come into order and come into perspective. And let's keep on pressing in God after this time is over. When the restrictions are lifted, let's not be like the children of Israel and go round in circles and quickly forget the Lord and forget forget what the Lord has done for us. Stay mindful, stay thankful, and stay thirsty for the real water.